how did Homo sapiens evolve? If we think about the invention of early invention of sex and early invention of predation, what was the thing invented to make humans? What would you say?
I mean, I suppose a couple of things I'd say. Number one is you don't have to wind the clock back very far, 5-6 million years or so, and let it run forwards again. And the chances of humans as we know them is not necessarily that high. And, imagine as an alien you find planet Earth and it's got everything apart from humans on it. It's an amazing, wonderful, marvelous planet, but nothing that we would recognize as extremely intelligent life, kind of spacefaring civilization. So when we think about aliens, we're kind of after something like ourselves. We're after a spacefaring civilization. We're not after zebras and giraffes and lions and things, amazing though they are. But the additional kind of evolutionary steps to go from large, complex mammals, monkeys, let's say, to humans doesn't strike me as that long a distance. It's all about the brain. And where's the brain and morality coming from? It seems to me to be all about groups, human groups and interactions between groups.
The collective intelligence of it.
The interactions, really. And there's a guy at UCL called Mark Thomas who's done a lot of really beautiful work, I think, on this kind of question. So I talk to him every now and then, so my views are influenced by him. But a lot seems to depend on population density, that the more interactions you have going on between different groups, the more transfer of information, if you like, between groups, so people moving from one group to another group, almost like lateral gene transfer in bacteria, the more expertise you're able to develop and maintain, the more culturally complex your society can become. And groups that have become detached, like on Easter Island, for example, very often degenerate in terms of the complexity of their civilization.
Is that true for complex organisms in general? Population density really is often productive.
Really matters. But in human terms, I don't know what the actual factors were that were driving a large brain, but you can talk about fire, you can talk about tool use, you can talk about language, and none of them seem to correlate especially well with the actual known trajectory of human evolution in terms of cave art and these kind of things. That seems to work much better just with population density and number of interactions between different groups, all of which is really about human interactions, human-human interactions, and the complexity of those.
But population density is the thing that increases the number of interactions, but then there must have been inventions forced by that number of interactions that actually led to humans. So like Richard Wrangham talks about that it's basically the beta males had to beat up the alpha male. So that's what collaboration looks like, is they, when you're living together, they don't like our early ancestors don't like the dictatorial aspect of a single individual at the top of a tribe. So they learn to collaborate, how to basically create a democracy of sorts, a democracy that prevents, minimizes, or lessens the amount of violence, which essentially gives strength to the tribe and make the war between tribes versus the dictator.
I mean, I think one of the most wonderful things about humans is we're all of those things. I mean, we are deeply social as a species, and we're also deeply selfish. And it seems to me the conflict between capitalism and communism is really just two aspects of human nature, both of which
we have both.
We have both. And we have a constant kind of vying between the two sides. We really do care about other people beyond our families, beyond our immediate people. We care about society and the society that we live in. And you could say that's a drawing towards socialism or communism. On the other side, we really do care about ourselves. We really do care about our families, about working for something that we gain from. And that's the capitalist side of it. They're both really deeply ingrained in human nature. In terms of violence and interactions between groups, yes, all this dynamic of, if you're interacting between groups, you can be certain that they're going to be burning each other and all kinds of physical violent interactions as well, which will drive the kind of cleverness of how do you resist this? Let's build a tower. Let's, what are we going to do to prevent being overrun by those marauding gangs from over there? And you look outside humans, and you look at chimps and bonobos and so on, and they're very, very different structures to society. Chimps tend to have an aggressive alpha male type structure, and bonobos are, there's basically a female society where the males are predominantly excluded and only brought in at the behest of the female. We have a lot in common with both of those groups.
And there's, again, tension there.
Yeah.
And probably chimps more violence, the bonobos probably more sex. That's another tension. Do you have
Yes.
how serious do we want to be? How much fun we want to be?